Hello, everybody. This is the Chill Boat, and today I am coming from you live from the school office. So I don't usually do podcasts, but I just thought this would be a little fun thing to do. I wanted to talk today about soup. Yes, you heard me right, soup. So I was thinking yesterday when I was having lunch, what makes soup soup? And I think there's three things about it. I think you have to have the container. You have to have the liquid, the broth, and you have to have the substance. And there's a lot of things that you can think about that make soup. You can just have, I don't know, you can have regular soup like chicken noodle soup. You can have carrot and vegetable soup. I don't know. You can have whatever soup you like. But there are certain boundaries to soups that have never been crossed before that I thought would be funny to talk about. So first of all, I'm just going to get right into it. If you have a bowl, chicken broth, and a brick, and you put it in the soup, does that make it brick soup? Or what about a painting? You put a painting in broth in a bowl. Is it painting soup? What happens if you put a book in broth and a bowl? Is it soup? What is it? Yes, it's soup, but it's just not edible soup. Well, I mean, if you cut it really lightly. And who's to say you have to cut anything? Why do people cut if they want to make carrot soup? Why do they cut the carrots? You don't have to cut the carrots. You can just put a whole carrot in the broth and then just say, good job, that's carrot soup. And then, if that's just what makes soup soup, doesn't that mean that... So, hear me out. You have a stomach. You have your stomach, you have stomach acid, and the things in your stomach. Doesn't that make your stomach a soup? And getting even weirder, if all you need is a substance like a carrot or a broth and bowl, if you have a spoon a soup isn't broth, right? That's not soup. That's just broth in a bowl. If you are eating broth with a spoon, isn't the spoon the substance? Doesn't that make the spoon soup? Or how about I don't know, a book? What about a whole bookcase? What if you just had a whole entire bowl this size, like a 3-meter bowl in length and 3 meters in wide and 3 meters tall, and you just put a huge amount of chicken broth in it, and you just put a bookcase, just a whole bookcase. Doesn't that make it bookcase soup? And what about if you put other objects in? What if you put, I don't know, a meteor in soup? Meteor soup? I don't know. And here's even getting weirder. What happens if you put, let's just say, you have a certain type of broth and you have a certain type of crystal, and this certain type of crystal dissolves and breaks apart in this certain type of broth? Doesn't that mean that the soup changes from crystal soup to crystal shard soup? And could you eat all these soups that I've been talking about? Because you can digest a brick, I'm pretty sure, if you really, 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 really need to. I mean, it's not edible, but... And just because something's not edible doesn't mean that you can't call it a food. I mean, actually, you can't call it a food. But you can still... the same way how you can call anything... Like, you can just saute a chair leg. You can saute a chair leg in deep frying oil, and you can saute it in rice, and it can still be a dish. You just can't eat it. It's an unedible dish. So why is it that if you put a brick in a soup, does it become brick soup? People would probably say, no, it does not become brick soup, because that would be stupid. But no, it's not, because it's becoming a soup made of bricks. And I mean, how big can, what... What if the whole universe is just no, that's not true. But what if the universe was just a soup? I mean, there's no bowl, or is the universe the bowl? I don't know. And who's saying that you can't make soup? Why can't you put soup in a soup? Like, you have bowl, and you have the broth, and you have soup, but you put the soup in the soup. So doesn't that make it soup? And getting even stranger, if, let's just say, why can't you have the thickest bowl in the world? Like, literally, the whole bowl. It's like a huge bowl. And there's literally just 1 centimeter of diameter where you can put broth, and you put one pea. Isn't that pea soup? Because it doesn't look like pea soup. It's very small pea soup, but it's still soup. It's just. And what about stews? Stews are thick stews. So is stomach acid thick? Does that mean your stomach acid is actually a stew, not a soup? And if you just stir things long enough, it will probably become thick enough that you can call it a stew. So why can't everything just? You can technically make everything a stew if you just add really thick paste or stir it long enough. Everything can be thick and stewy. That sounds wrong or weird. I don't know. There's a lot of soup to talk about. Lots and lots of soup in this world. What about? I like soup. Do you like soup? Soup sounds okay. One of my favorite soups is wedding meatball soup. I like that soup. It comes with meatballs and it comes with the little grains of rice and spinach, and it has good broth. I like that soup. I like chicken noodle soup. I like noodles in general, bro. Noodles are the best, but that's not soup. But like, what about? Just think about it. Soup could be anything. You could just make a soup out of anything. Oh, what about this? What if, hear me out. You make soup, wait. What if you make soup out of dark matter? Is dark matter the liquid? Ooh, wait. Even weirder. What if you make water soup? What if you put water in a little membrane and you just... Oh, even weirder. What if you put broth in a membrane and you put it in the broth of the soup? Does that mean it's broth soup? Because, it's broth. You can deep fry water. I saw that video. So why can't you just put broth in a membrane? Yeah, it just makes sense. Broth soup. Everything can be a soup if you... Do you want it to be a soup? Just make it a soup. I would literally go and argue that anything can be soup, or... The ocean. The ocean has a bowl. It's the earth. The ocean has the broth, the salt water. The ocean has things in it. Does that mean the ocean's soup? What about water? What about just regular water in a glass? There's stuff in the water, like particles and stuff. Does that mean it's water soup? And what about just anything? What about a puddle? A puddle's a soup? Because there's stuff in the puddle, the particles, and it's getting held by whatever, the concrete or the mud or the grass or whatever. It's puddle soup. Anything can be a soup if you need it to be a soup. And that's what I'm trying to say. What about dark matter? I don't even know what kind of thing dark... What about plasma? Can you make plasma soup? I don't know. Because plasma's... I don't know. Plasma's plasma. Could you just attract a lightning? Could you make a steel bowl and just put soup in it? And then have lightning flash or broth and then trap it somehow. Lightning soup? Plasma soup? Oh, okay. What if you hooked up a bowl of soup neurologically with the neurons and your whatever the brain stems are to a brain, and the brain produces dopamine? Is it happy soup? What if you cry in soup? Is it sad soup? Is it tear soup? Ooh, even bigger subject. If you put a human in a soup, this sounds wrong. If you put a human in soup and then would it be there? What if their name was Joe? Would it be Joe soup? Human soup? Homo... I don't know what we are. I forget social studies. But what kind of soup would that be? Could it be all those types of things soup? It could be any kind of soup. It's just... Soup is just a very broad topic. Someone asks you, hey, do you want some soup? You gotta ask what soup, because they could... You can't really trust people with soup. You gotta have a little bit of trust issues, and stew too, and it works with stew the same way. But if you ask someone, hey, do you want some soup? And they say yes, you could give them any type of soup you want. You could just give them a puddle, and you could call it a day. Just be careful when someone asks you to talk about soup. Well, thank you for listening to my podcast about soup. I hope you had a good day. And I'm not that hungry for soup anymore, but whatever.